Today, I won't be talking about anything paranormal, but you will still have a hard time coming up with a logical explanation for these cases. I will be telling you about the three most creepy instances where people went into the woods and were never seen again. If you're ready for this, let's get into it. Number 1. Gary Mathis. On the night of February 24th, 1978, five young men from Yuba County, California, named Gary Mathis, Theodore Weir, Jack Hewitt, William Sterling, and Jack Madruga went over to California State University in Chico to attend a basketball game. But when the group of young men didn't return the next day, concern grew amongst their friends and family. What should have been a quick night out to watch a basketball game became a mystery that is yet unsolved to this day. All five of the men suffered mild forms of mental or psychiatric issues, but were still able to properly function in society regardless. They were scheduled to play in a Special Olympics game of their own the next day, and they had their clothes packed down for the event the prior day before leaving for California State University, showing they had all the intention of coming back. Shortly after they were reported missing, a police search ensued, and a few days later, they found the car of the men abandoned, far from the normal route they would have taken back to Yuba City. It was a whole hour in the opposite direction of Yuba City, as it was driven up a mountain pass in the Plumas National Park forest at the northern part of Sierra Nevada. There were a few empty food wrappers and drink bottles found in the abandoned car by the police. The car was found in working condition, lodged in a snowbank, but it could have easily been pushed out by the five young men, raising the question, why didn't they just push it out and drive home? Police searched the area for any signs of the men, but any evidence was covered by a passing snowstorm overnight. Many sightings of the men were reported, but none led to the discovery of the men. A man named Joseph Scones called the police, saying he saw a group of men passing him by and disappeared while pushing his stuck car out of the snow. He claimed to have called the men for help, but they disappeared, almost like they ignored him. A second witness said she saw a group of five men in a red pickup truck on Saturday and Sunday, about an hour from the location of the abandoned car. She said two of the men came into her store to buy food and used the phone, while the others stayed in the truck. When all of the snow was melted around June of the same year, a local man noticed a broken window on a Forest Service trailer, and when police inspected it, they found the body of Theodore Weir inside. But the condition that he was found in didn't make any sense. He seemed to have died from starvation, despite the truck having some food items. He was wrapped in multiple blankets, and his feet were badly frostbitten, but the trailer had an unused functioning fireplace, and some snow clothes in the trailer were untouched. About 20 miles away from where the car was abandoned, the bones of William Sterling, Jack Hewitt, and Jack Madruga were found not far from where Ted was found. They had died from hypothermia. The body of Gary was never found. Only his shoes were found, and to this day, no one can figure out why the group had gone in the direction they did. Number 2. Jared Negrete. In 1991, a 12-year-old boy named Jared Negrete went out camping with his Boy Scout troop, which was made up of 14 other boys. That day, they were hiking to the summit of Mount San Gorgonio in the San Bernardino National Forest in Southern California. Jared was on the heavier side, so it was a bit tasking for him to keep up with the group. At around 6 p.m., another group of hikers going through a similar trail spotted Jared struggling behind and notified the scoutmaster when they got to the summit. They said he was seen shortcutting the switchbacks on his way down the trail and was told not to do that, but to stay on the trail by the other hikers. The scoutmaster, who was an experienced hiker, said he would pick up Jared on his way down the mountain. When he was finally able to go down the mountain trail to pick up Jared, he was nowhere to be found. As soon as the scoutmaster discovered that Jared was missing, he took the remaining scouts in his troop back to base camp and then hiked about 5 miles in the dark to get help. Sheriff's deputies, as well as search and rescue teams, began searching around the 130 square miles of the San Jose wilderness. the first 3 days, their search was focused on a 6-square-mile area where a footprint that was believed to match Jared's tennis shoes was found. Searchers also found some candy wrappers and beef jerky wrappers believed to be dropped by Jared. The most important discovery they came across was his camera. It had 12 pictures on the film roll, with most showing images of the landscape he took when he was still with the truth. But the last one was a self-portrait, which was the last image taken of the young boy. At least 70 officers were deployed to find the boy, including some on horseback and airlifted officers with helicopters equipped with infrared scanning. Over the next 2 weeks, over 3,000 people had put in hours searching the 50 square miles of the San Bernardino National Forest, all to no avail. To this day, the remains of Jared have never been found. Number 3. Trenny Lynn Gibson. On October 8, 1976, 16-year-old Trenny Gibson from Tennessee went to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park together with about 40 of her classmates from Bearden High School. The group had just a teacher and a bus driver to supervise the trip. They started hiking from Andrews Ball to Clingman's Dome and then back along the Forney Ridge Trail. During the hike, the students separated into several smaller groups according to their hike pace. Trenny was seen in a group with several of her classmates throughout the day, but the last time she was seen was at Clingman's Dome, when she deviated from the path after spotting something and going to check it out. She was never seen again. The circumstances of her disappearance were a bit odd, as there were people both in front of and behind her. The trail was a popular one, taken regularly by hikers, yet no one saw her. A minor search was conducted, but nothing came up. Dogs were sent out to find her, and they followed her trail to the intersection of the Appalachian Trail, then onto the Dome Tower, which was skipped during the search, then towards a roadside about 1.5 miles from the newfound gap. After this, the trail abruptly went cold. Because the trail led to a roadside, many people believed she was abducted, most likely forced into a car and taken away, but many were skeptical of this idea. They said an abductor wouldn't wait along a steep slope and risk around 30 people witnessing him carry out an act as they passed. Many others speculated that Trenny was forced to hide at Clingman's Dome Tower, or went there voluntarily. Since this area wasn't searched the first time, it was a possibility. After this, she could have been taken to the roadside of a nearby parking lot and then left the place by a vehicle. Police had no strong suspects, but there was an incident in her home when a young man tried to break into their place, but Trenny's dad shot him. The man eventually recovered and vowed revenge, but an investigation into this man turned up nothing. The search for Trenny continued till October 1976, but there were no signs of her anywhere. Another search was repeated in 1977, which also turned up nothing. Her case remains unsolved to this day. The strange circumstances behind the disappearance of these people are pretty unnerving, but the main takeaway from these is never going on a hike alone. And if you do go on a hike alone, stick to the trail and don't wander off into the woods. That's all for today. Thank you for watching, and consider leaving a like if you found this video entertaining or scary. And subscribe to the channel for more horror, scary stories, and events.